The 53-man roster is officially set for the 2024 Saints season. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Gerard, and in today's video, we're going to go through all of the roster cuts, all of the players placed on IR and the PUP list, and then we're going to dive into the entire depth chart of all 53 players that are on the initial 53-man roster. But before we dive into that, I have to remind you to subscribe to the channel because anytime that there's breaking news or there's roster updates, we got you covered. So be sure to subscribe. We already put one video out today. This one's number 2. So let's go through the roster cuts real quick. The first one of the day was Lou Hedley, meaning Matt Hayball, the UDFA out of Vanderbilt, is the punter for the Saints. Now, Isaiah Stalbird, he was a linebacker that was brought in as a UDFA as well. He did not make the roster. It's the same thing with James Robinson, Jacob Kibodi. They were also cut. And then another interesting name is Ugo Amadi. I was shocked to see that the Saints released him, but he is no longer on the roster. So the next set of cuts, Kyle Hergel, Josiah Ezirim, who was the 7th round pick by New Orleans in this past draft class. Shemar Jean-Charles was the cornerback. He's actually dealing with an injury. He was placed on the IR list, so that's a mistake on me. Charlie Smyth, the kicker, the Irishman, was released. But good news for you Saints fans, if another team wants to sign him, they have to put him on the active roster due to the International Pathway Program rule where you can have an extra player on the practice squad if he's an international player and he came through the IPP. Now, with Charlie Smyth, he's more than likely going to be back on the practice squad, so it stinks to see him get cut. Millard Bradford, I was excited about him. They call him Nuke out at TCU. I thought he was good throughout the offseason, but then in the preseason, he was pretty slow. Did have a fumble recovery, though, which was pretty cool. Johnathan Abram, that might be the most shocking name on this list of players who have been released. Kaliki Hudson also released. Equanimous St. Brown, who was on the receiving end of that absolutely beautiful toss by Spencer Rattler into the end zone against the Titans. Samson Nacua, unfortunately, we will not get any more almost kick sixes on the 53-man roster. But Shaq Davis, a fan favorite undrafted free agent from last year, the Saints brought him back. Unfortunately, he was cut this season, this offseason, and he is now not going to be on the Saints team. And unfortunately for him, he was, I think, dealing with an injury, but I could also see the Saints wanting to bring him back to the practice squad as well. Now, 2 more roster cuts for you. Mac McCain, the cornerback, and Monty Rice. Those are all of your roster cuts for the New Orleans Saints this season. And so I got a quick question that I want to ask you. Which of those cuts, we just went through all, 32, 31? Which of those was the most surprising this year? I want you to get down in the comment section and let me know. Now, 4 players were placed on IR. Like I said earlier, I made a mistake. Rajon Wright, he is on the injured reserve list. He did not get cut. He's dealing with their turf toe injury. And Kendre Miller, he was also placed on IR. And if you've been following the channel for some time now, you would know that this was an expected move. And why there's an asterisk right there? Well, the New Orleans Saints are expected to bring, or not expected, they are designating him as a short-term IR player, meaning he is designated to return to the New Orleans Saints this season as early as Week 5 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, 2 players were placed on the PUP list. Tano Passanio, one of the top 5 players in sack production for the Saints last year, and Nefi Sewell. Passanio, he tore his Achilles earlier in the offseason. Not really sure how it happened, but unfortunately for the defensive end rotation, that's one less player who's going to be on the roster. Nefi Sewell, you might remember him from last year. He was involved in that punt block against, I think it was the Panthers, but he was involved with the punt block that was returned for a touchdown. So hopefully these 2 players can return pretty soon. Now, for the time being, the New Orleans Saints roster is at 53 players for now. But more moves could be coming soon as teams get their practice squad set, as teams make waiver claims. And on top of that, there's going to be players who are available that the Saints could possibly go out and sign. And right now they have around $12 to $13 million of cap space to spend. So that means they could look to add some offensive linemen, maybe bring in a receiver or a safety. So I would be on the lookout for more moves to come. And that's why you subscribe. And I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and it is Factor Meals. And after I tell you about Factor Meals, we're going to go through all 53 players on the Saints roster. Now, if you want to meet your wellness goals this fall, you should check out Factor Meals. They have a delicious menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and keto-friendly diets. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have enough time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. And I'm a big fan of the honey mustard chicken. With the football season getting underway, I find myself having a lot less time to cook meals when I do get home because I'm grinding every day here at the studio. But thanks to Factor Meals, I'm able to stay fueled, stay full, and also get some healthy food as well. And if you head over to factormeals.com/SaintsChat50 and you use code SaintsChat50, you can get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. Friendly reminder, that's code SaintsChat50 at factormeals.com/SaintsChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Shout out to Factor Meals. I cannot emphasize how good these meals taste, how easy they are to cook, and how good they make you feel. All of the information is in the comment section and description of this video. So let's dive in. The 53-man depth chart is here. No changes to the quarterback room. I believe Jake Haener will be the QB2. Spencer Rattler should be QB3. I personally like what I saw from Rattler more than Haener in the preseason, but I could see New Orleans opting to have Haener be the QB2. The running back room, there is a little shakeup here because Kendre Miller did not make the roster. So, he got placed on IR. So, Jordan Mims, he takes over as the running back 3. He was extremely impressive in the preseason. He showed off his versatility all throughout the offseason. And Adam Prentice, he beat out Xander Horvath to be your fullback. I also think you'll see Taysom Hill in that action as well. The wide receivers. Hey, let's clap it up. The Yale wide receiver, Mason Tipton, didn't even take a damn snap in the preseason, but he impressed the coaches so much at training camp and so much throughout OTAs. He earned himself a roster spot. He's going to be playing alongside Cedric Wilson and Bub Means, as well as the top 3 guys you see on your screen. I'm excited about this wide receiver group. I do think going and adding another player might make some sense. However, I'm really excited to see Mason Tipton in some action. The tight ends, shout out to Holker Mania. I got to tell you something, brother. Dallin Holker, he's coming after you, brother. And he's bringing the entire Holker Maniacs in the Who Dat Nation to come after you, brother. He's also going to have Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Taysom Hill in on the tight end rotation. Had to have some fun. Shout out to Hulk Hogan. And shout out to Dallin Holker for making the 53-man roster. The offensive line. Now, I understand you guys might look at this and start, getting a little nervous. Palms might be feeling a little sweaty when you're looking at this graphic, but I'm here to tell you, do not worry. I do believe the New Orleans Saints are going to be in the market for an offensive lineman here in the near future. So I don't think that this unit is entirely set, but right now you have your starting 5 of Talise Fuanga, Lucas Patrick, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Trevor Penning. And then in the backups, Oli Udo, Nick Saldiveri, and Landon Young. So guys, if you're pumped up for the NFL season to start, we are just days away. This is pretty much the last big thing we got until the season kicks off. So like today's video, if you're pumped up for the football season to get underway, and I know that the Saints season might be a little underwhelming, and maybe you're not pumped up for the New Orleans Saints, but we can all agree on this. The world is a much better, much happier place when football is on. So hit that thumbs up icon and like today's video. The defensive line group, you have a really talented squad here, but you have a ton of depth at the defensive tackle position. With Colin Saunders dealing with an injury, I expect Kendall Vickers to be a player that maybe gets in on the rotation, but I think Christian Boyd will be a little bit higher in that rotation. Payton Turner and Isaiah Foskey both notably make the roster here, and I have a lot of eyes on Foskey and Turner. I'm hoping that they can prove some people wrong this year, and I'm hoping that they can put it all together because, hey, these guys are approaching bust status. The linebacker group, might be one of the most underrated in the National Football League and possibly the most underrated on the team. I really like Pete Werner. Congrats to him for signing that extension not too long ago. Demario Davis, he is one of the best linebackers in the National Football League. Willie Gay, I think he is one of the most underrated additions in free agency by the New Orleans Saints. And shout out to Anthony Orji and UDFA from last year's class. He cracks the roster this year alongside DeMarco Jackson and Jalen Ford, a rookie out of Texas. The cornerback depth chart, this might be the best unit in the National Football League. And if you disagree with me, argue with a brick wall because you're wrong. Paulson Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore, they're going to be holding it down on the outsides. Alante Taylor in the nickel spot. Second-round pick, Kool-Aid McKinstry, he made the roster as well. And let's give some snaps, let's give some claps, and let's show some love to my man Rico Payton for earning a spot on the 53-man roster. 4 undrafted free agents made it this year. Shout out to Rico Payton. He has been electric this offseason. He was really, really good during the preseason, so I'm excited to see him get through the rotation. And he's a player who I'm excited to see the Saints bring back because I'm not sold that he would have made it through waivers. The safeties. You don't have Johnathan Abram, so Jordan Howden, it is your show, my friend, next to Tyrann Mathieu. JT Gray is your special teams ace, so no surprise there that he made the roster. And Will Harris, he actually beat out Ugo Amadi to be that backup safety spot. Maybe it wasn't Ugo Amadi, but he won the safety 2 battle behind Tyrann Mathieu. And you cannot have a 53-man roster without 3 special players. Blake Grupe, he's going to be your starting kicker. Matt Hayball, the UDFA out of Vanderbilt, he is your starting punter. Zach Wood, the long snapper. And then I just included these 2 on here just so you guys could understand what to expect here. Rashid Shaheed will be a kick and punt returner for the New Orleans Saints. So get down in the comment section, Who Dat Nation. What is your confidence in this roster? Scale it for me, 1 to 99. For me, I got to go somewhere around an 82. Producer Smitty, what do you think? 76 from Producer Smitty. I think that's pretty fair. It's nothing super flashy, but it's not terrible. Not terrible. An underrated group. I think that's a fair assessment, Smitty. So get down in the comment section, share your thoughts. And Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden. We will see you tomorrow.